This is Relationship Talk with Nikki, where I get to enlighten you about certain dynamics that play out in relationships. So if you are interested in building a healthy relationship, and I keep saying that there are so many relationships that are working but are not necessarily healthy. But if you are interested in building a healthy relationship, then you are welcome on board, because here you are going to learn about building a relationship that works, a relationship that you are proud of, a relationship that makes you a better person, not a relationship that depletes you. So you're welcome. And today is I'm coming here with a lot of mixed emotions today. Ordinarily, I'm excited to inform and educate people about these things that I am learning, and I just want you to understand it, and I just want you to also learn some of these things. But today it's with a bit of mixed emotion, in as much as I'm happy to be here to educate us, but I'm also deeply saddened by the news of the death of Osinachi through domestic violence. It's been everywhere, but I guess it affected some people more than some people, and it just it feels like we lost someone that we interfaced with every day, even though for somebody like me, I saw her from afar. And these are some of the reasons why I have been personally advocating that could we learn about relationship? Could we learn about the emotional side of relationship? Could we learn about the psychological part of relationship, so that we are better equipped to understand our behaviors and the behavior of other people? It is necessary for us to understand our own behavior. Why do I act the way I act around this person? And why do and why does that other person behave the way they behave? Because it's always an interface. There's always a relationship between you and especially your romantic partner that creates the dynamic that you have in your relationship. And today, I just want to talk about, the abused victim, the abused person in a relationship. And I have read a lot of articles that some people blame, the deceased now for why can't you just hop and go? Why did you stay there? Why didn't you make better choices? And I think that for people that are on the outside and that you are not in an abusive space, you may not understand. You may never get to understand why it is difficult for people that are in abusive relationships to up and go, to just take their bags and leave. Because at the end of the day, they are both meeting each other's needs. And as funny as it may sound, there is something that we both gain by being in that wrong relationship. It is a script that was, number one, it's a script that was given to you, and you need to play your part. And if you're not playing your part, you are unhappy with your life. And these are the things, a lot of us, we think that we are in charge of the decisions that we make, but we forget that the subconscious has been educated to act in a particular way. You expect to be treated in a particular way. If you're not treated that way, you sabotage your relationship to ensure that you are treated in that particular way. And so there's a lot of dynamics that plays behind the scene, and this morning I want to try to educate us on a little bit of it. Like I said, this is a platform where you get to get schooled about your emotions and your psychology, and I hope that you follow, because there's no point dumping information on you. I just think that we should take it bit by bit so that you get well informed about this thing. The first thing that I want us to understand is that there is a trauma bond that exists between the abused and the abuser. You cannot, there is almost like a script that each part must play its part. Each party must play its part, and if you are not acting that way, you are unhappy and unfulfilled. If it sounds funny, but there is a trauma bond between them. Somebody must trigger a particular reaction in you, and you would act in a particular way. If this person gets to beat me, I get to show that I am submissive. As funny as that may sound, that is what happens. Because how do I get to show the world how submissive I am if this person does not do something extremely terrible and I'm able to stomach it and I'm able to weather that storm? And so usually what would happen is that people in abusive relationship, they either do something to trigger a reaction in their abuser, or their abuser knows what to do to get them to a place where they exhibit whatever it is that makes them happy. For instance, if I want to be seen as a submissive woman, I would have to do something always to make my partner a bad person, to get him to misbehave so that I can receive my accolade. It is, like I said, it is on an unconscious, subconscious level. And we get to do these things without even processing them. So he may do something and I would scold him the wrong way so that he gets angry. And by the time he gets angry, I get to be the good woman. And we need to know that these things are in operation. There is a trauma bond. They are bonded together by something that is beyond what you and I can see. You and I see the foolishness in being in that relationship, but they get something. There's a fulfillment that being in that space gives to the abused and the abuser. The abuser needs to feel powerful, for instance. And how do I show that I'm powerful if there is nobody to bully? And so they will always create that scenario, and it is a good thing for them. They get to create that scenario. Sometimes nobody is pushing for it, but after a long time, if nobody beats me, if nobody scolds me, I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I am not. Who is getting to notice that I am a submissive good woman? And somehow I'll create it. Sometimes it is not by, some women don't have the opportunity to maybe scold their partner, but they will give power. They will give too much power to their abuser. And they begin to say, no, whatever you want to do, you know that you are and that way, by the time you continue to massage an abuser's ego, it gets to a place where he knows that, okay, this person is ready for me. Because you can do it in two ways. It's either you scold an abuser to the point where he beats you, or you begin to over-empower him. You begin to give him too much power. You begin to tell him, you know that I cannot move an inch without you. And you begin to say that thing enough for the person to get the message that, okay, I think you need to be a slave at this point, and I am saying it is a need in us, and we need to recognize that we have this need that is unmet, and we create this situation in which both the abused and the abuser thrives. And that is one thing that I want us to understand this morning, that there is a trauma bond between the two of them. And secondly, another thing that happens is that an abused person gets to be, they over-identify with their abuser. And this is one thing that a lot of people don't understand. You just come to the scene and say, why not just take your bag? Why just not leave? The truth is, they over-identify with their abuser. And what does that mean? It means that the person that is being abused, they overly feel indebted to their abuser. The person must have done something really good maybe at the beginning of their relationship, or intermittently in the relationship. And when this person, they feel over indebted, they feel a sense of gratitude towards this person, that how do I ever leave somebody that is this kind to me? And it is a thing you need to know. You even though the badness may outweigh the goodness, but the way they identify with the goodness, that no, this person was the one that was there for me when there was nobody else. Or maybe this person was the one that helped me to sign the contract. And this person is the one that introduced me to this particular profession that I am doing now. And how do you get to leave somebody that helped you to create a source of livelihood? And no matter how bad the situation is, they continue to emphasize on that one good thing, that the person that wants you to eat, the person that is managing your talents, the person that created an ambience for you to thrive is better than someone that, how do you begin to say it, that you leave someone that gave you a job, for instance, or whatever it is. They feel a sense of gratitude that is over exaggerated. And you need to know this. So most of the time, when you are saying leave, what rubbish, they don't see it. They don't see it. And people that are around them need to understand this. An abused person cannot emancipate themselves. It is difficult. Their minds are being toyed with every day by the abused. And it gives them a level of satisfaction. It meets a particular need in them that if you ask them to leave that place, then who supplies the need? Who supplies the need? Because it is, even though it is a dangerous relationship, but at the end of the day, it is still a relationship. And the familiar is always better than the unfamiliar. I am sure that it might slap me, but it's there for me. Who else will be there for me if I leave this person? Some women, they are in the relationship where their husband does not allow them to spend their kobo. It will buy them cars, even though on the day you offend him, he may take back his car, may take back his keys. Some of them, they have beautiful, maybe businesses. Maybe somebody might have a store or something, and this person is responsible. And you are now saying, I should walk away from all of this. Some people may build houses in their names and say that this house, I built it for you. And you want me to leave all these things that are familiar to go to an unfamiliar terrain. It will be difficult. And so you need to know that they over-identify. The goodness that it is in them is over-exaggerated. They look at it as if it is something that can never be replicated again. And so if you are speaking to a victim of domestic violence, of abuse, don't ever think that it is possible or easy for them to just up and go. Don't ever think it is easy for them to be able to take calculated risk by leaving them, or by thinking straight, or by making informed choices. They are unable to do that. And we need to understand all of this and just stop throwing blames around. The other thing is that there is a reward and a punishment dynamic that is between the two of them. They reward themselves, and there's a punishment. If I do something bad, I am expected to be punished. And it is something that is ingrained in them. Maybe by the next time we meet, we'll be able to talk about how these dynamics are created, because it is a script. Trust me, anyone that you see submitting to abuse, or anyone that is abusing another person, is something that they have seen somewhere before. It is a script that they are playing out, and we would get there. Like I said, I don't want this to be too long, and so we'll make this brief and sharp. But continue to follow, and you would continue to get enlightened, so that even when you want to help someone in this, if you want to help someone, you know the things to do. You know how you can come to rescue someone in this situation. A lot of people will say, I spoke to her, I told him that. And don't forget that it's not only women that are being abused. Men also get abused, and men also submit to abuse. And a lot of people will look at them and say, why do you take this rubbish from your wife? Why do you take this rubbish from your wife? And the person will have a good explanation, just like a woman too will have a good explanation for why her husband is maltreating her. So I want us to be aware of these things, this dynamic that play out between an abuse and and the abuser, so that we don't just throw judgment around, we don't throw comments around that don't particularly describe the things that are happening in that relationship, that does not capture what is happening in that relationship, and you, at the end of the day, you make the person look like a fool, that this person is just a foolish person, that's why you are there. No, it is beyond that. Another thing that happens is, they have empathy and compassion for their abuser. As strange as that might sound, that is what keeps a lot of people in abusive relationship. Some people have an exaggerated sense of self, that I will be dedicated to you long enough and that you will change. And that happens in religious environments a lot. You believe, you hope, you have faith that my coming to your life is going to make you a better person. And you trust that to the point that you continue to do whatever it is. The level of dedication that you have towards the abused victim, because they see the person crying, they see the person apologetic when the person makes mistakes in their own eye, quote and unquote. This person makes mistakes. The person made the mistake to slap me again, and they are sure that he's a good person, she's a good person, or and how will I leave you in this mess all by yourself? These are the things that are playing in their head, and we need to be aware of these things so that we don't just judge people. We don't just say you are foolish, you are this. And I have said all of this to say one thing, that an abused person does not have the mental strength to walk out of an abusive relationship. They don't have it. Their abuser, usually, abusers have their emotions, they have their hearts and their head in their hands. And usually, whether they admit it or not, an abuser is a skilled manipulator that will do anything to keep their prey. If it means for me to cry, to let you know that, oh, I'm sorry for this thing that I've done, and you know that this is not me, they will do it. They are skilled manipulators. We need to know the depth of the issue and the problem that an abused person is in. It is not just about this person not smart enough. In this last week, I saw pictures of about 5, 6, 7 people that you would think that most women that are, anybody that is in this situation, it will usually be that they are financially dependent on their partner. No. What we fail to know is that abusers are skilled manipulators. They are skilled at their crafts. They know what to do to get you back into the mold. They feel threatened when you want to leave, and they can come up with anything that will make you stay. Whether it involves crying, whether it involves begging you, whether it is to do nice things for you, to buy you gifts all over again. Whatever they know will get your attention, they will do it, because it is a threat to the power that they hold if you decide to walk away from them. It is like someone that has someone in prison. You have someone that you have already imprisoned, and you want to let the person go. It is difficult, because it proves that they have become powerless. And so whatever it takes to ensure that the victim continues with them, they will do it. And so from the outside, what I am saying in simple English is that they need help. They would defend their abuser before you. They would lie to you that, no, we are okay. They would, in fact, if you succeed in reporting, an action is taken against the abuser, they will not necessarily appreciate it. They feel like you have deprived them of something. The dynamic that is playing out between the two of them, you have interrupted it. And so they would grieve for the loss of that thing. If to you it feels stupid, but for the person in it, they know that there is also something that I gained from this dynamic. It is not just about the other person. There is also a need that is being fulfilled in them. Like I said, some women, it is about the need to feel pious. And some of them, it is about the need to feel, I am humble, I am whatever, or I'm a religious person, I'm a good Christian, I'm a good Muslim, whatever it is. There is something that is feeding in them. If you try to rescue them, they will not necessarily appreciate it. Sometimes it might go south, that they will lie, that even if you report to authorities, they will lie and say that they are okay. And when they lie, you might even now become the bad person. It's okay to be that bad person, but make sure you do your part. Try to do your part in rescuing victims of abuse. They don't have what it takes to rescue themselves. It will take people around them to rescue them. And when you rescue them, like I said, they will not necessarily appreciate it. But do your part. Report. You do not need their consent to report. Please report abuse when you see one. And I hope that the government and I hope that, authorities would they would think more about this and put more concrete plans in place where people report and eventually abused victims are rescued. Because it's another thing for you to go and report and nobody is doing anything about it. But let's try. And that is why this blame game is not going to help. Abuse is, like one of my friends said over the weekend, abuse is a sin against the state. But we make it about the church, we make it about every other person. But it is really a sin against the state. And what is the state doing? And if the state cannot help, will your brothers help? If your brothers cannot help, can your pastor help? If your pastor cannot help, can somebody help? And just make sure that we blow things out of proportion until the abuser is exposed and the power over their victim is broken. And I think maybe that will do for now. We'll continue to look at the dynamic that surrounds our abuse and the abuser, and why it is difficult for them to leave, and what we can do, and how you can even identify if you are in an abusive relationship. And so, like I used to say, this is about educating you, to educate your mind, to educate you to understand why you do the things you do. And if that is what you're interested in, you're in the right place. This is Relationship Talk with Nike, and I will be here every Saturday